The war was over. The Nazis had lost. Justice was supposed to follow. But for over 1,000 of them, justice never came. Instead, they got new names, new salaries, and access to America's most classified laboratories. This is the story they didn't teach you in school. May 1945, Germany has surrendered. The most destructive war in human history is finally over. Across Europe, Allied forces are rounding up Nazi commanders, scientists, and engineers, trying to piece together exactly how Hitler's war machine worked. But inside the US Army, a very different conversation is happening. Because what the Americans had just discovered was terrifying. The Nazis hadn't just built bombs and tanks. They had built rockets. Rockets that could travel 300 kilometers through the stratosphere and fall from the sky without warning. The V-2, the world's first ballistic missile, and the man who built it was still out there. His name was Wernher von Braun, SS officer, Nazi Party member since 1937, and quite possibly the most brilliant rocket engineer who had ever lived. Von Braun didn't wait to be captured. He surrendered, walked straight into American lines with his team of engineers and offered them everything. His rocket designs, his research, his entire technical staff. All he asked for in return was protection. The US government had a problem. Officially, men like von Braun were war criminals. His rockets had been built using slave labor from concentration camps. Hundreds of workers had died, not from the bombs the rockets carried, but from the brutal conditions in the underground factories that made them. Officially, he should have faced trial at Nuremberg. But officially, no one was looking too closely. In secret, the US Joint Intelligence Objectives Agency created a program. They called it Operation Paperclip. The mission: identify the most valuable Nazi scientists, erase or alter their records, give them new identities, and bring them to America. Over 1,600 scientists, engineers, and technicians were recruited. Their Nazi Party affiliations quietly removed from their files. Their war crimes buried under paperwork stamped top secret. Wernher von Braun was brought to Fort Bliss, Texas, then to Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. He was given funding, a team, and one enormous goal: build America a rocket program before the Soviets do. And he succeeded. The Saturn V rocket, the machine that carried Apollo 11 to the moon in 1969, was designed under his direction. The moment the world celebrated as humanity's greatest achievement was built, in part, by a former SS officer. But von Braun wasn't alone. Other paperclip scientists worked on biological weapons programs, chemical agents, psychological research, some of which would later feed directly into a program called M. The breadth of what these men built, and the darkness of where they came from, is almost impossible to fully comprehend. While their colleagues were being hanged at Nuremberg, they were eating dinner in American military bases. Historians are still divided on Operation Paperclip. Some argue it was a necessary evil, that without von Braun, the Soviets would have reached the moon first. That the Cold War demanded pragmatism over morality. Others call it a betrayal, a deliberate cover-up that let war criminals escape justice and sent a message that knowledge could be purchased at the cost of conscience. Annie Jacobsen, who wrote the definitive book on Paperclip, put it this way: America made a deal with the devil. The question is, was it worth it? Wernher von Braun died in 1977, an American hero, his face on magazine covers, his name on schools and research centers. The slave laborers who built his rockets, most of them never received a single word of acknowledgement. So I'll leave you with this. If the greatest achievement in human history was built, at least in part, on the work of a war criminal, does that change how you feel about it? Let me know what you think in the comments.